We're going from students who like digging up hot springs to students who suddenly come across a hot spring and deciding to open an inn, as well as students who just want to enjoy the hot spring, and students who want to share the inn in the name of communism, with the rerun of the Hot Springs Resort number 227 Daily Logs event. The return of this event signals the rerun of Onsen Chinatsu, Onsen Cherino, and Onsen Nodoka's banners, including the debut of Onsen Shigure. Thus, here is a short review of all 4 units. Let's kick things off with Onsen Shigure, who somehow looks even hotter in her onsen version, and she's honestly an underrated character in terms of personality and design. Also, that is definitely 100% not alcohol that she's drinking. She is a special piercing healer who is average in urban terrains, bad in field, and excellent indoors. She also rocks this equipment set with the badge and necklace, giving her much more recovery boost and healing stats. Onsen Shigure's 5-cost EX skill continuously recovers allies' HP every 4 seconds in a circular area for 30 seconds. Her basic skill restores the health of 4 allies with the lowest HP every 50 seconds. Her enhanced skill increases her healing, and her sub-skill boosts all allies' crit damage. At UV40, her healing is further increased, and at UV50, her indoor combat power improves from S to SS. Onsen Shigure can be a pretty comfy healer as she has decent AoE healing output. While her healing numbers might be quite low, since it is an AoE overtime heal, it lasts for 30 whole seconds, allowing her to constantly top up all your students with heals, ensuring their survivability throughout their duration. Not only that, her basic skill is quite good too, as she is one of the first healers to be able to heal your entire team with her basic skill. And even though it may take 50 seconds for it to proc, its multiplier is decently high, and it greatly boosts her ability to ensure your team's survivability since she has another healing outlet. Her EX and basic skills healing outputs are further improved with her enhanced skill and enhanced skill plus, since they give a lot more additional healing. And finally, her sub-skill being able to increase your entire team's crit damage is as always very useful, as she gives your team a bit more DPS, though her main appeal would still be her healing capabilities. With all these, Onsen Shigure can be used in a number of content, mainly the Hieronymus raid, where she can keep your students alive while healing the urn, and Wakamo Hovercraft, where her AoE heals will be extremely useful in constantly providing heals to the turrets on Insane and Torment difficulty, so that they can destroy the missiles. Not only that, she can also be used in the Kurokage raid, primarily on Torment difficulty. Kuro has a number of AoE attacks, all of which can really hurt your students while applying the Intimidation debuff, which basically reduces your max HP as indicated by this grey bar. Thus, you will need healers like Onsen Shigure to recover your students from his AoE attacks, and to cure them of the Intimidation debuff before it takes up 50% of their health, since it can make them confused if it does, making her a good unit for this raid. Finally, with the new Fury of Set mode, Onsen Shigure's values have shot up massively, as she is amazing in this new mode. In this new content, you're able to bring in 6 strikers, and as such, you will definitely need AoE healers in order to heal all of them, as well as this obelisk which will absorb the lightning strikes that can reduce your students' attack. Thus, Onsen Shigure has become an important student in this mode, especially on the harder stages where survivability is required, and she can make certain of this by being able to heal all of your units, allowing her to be used in almost every team for this mode on the higher difficulty stages like stages 50 and above. Overall, Onsen Shigure is a decent AoE healer, and you can definitely pull for her if you want to challenge the harder stages of Fury of Set or Torment Kurokage, or perhaps she is your waifu and you want to sleep with her in her L2D. However, otherwise, you may skip her banner, as while she is definitely useful in those raids, she can be replaced in those by other students, such as Atsuko, Onsen Nodoka, and even regular Hanako. Plus, she doesn't see much use elsewhere due to her low healing output. Not only that, she definitely isn't free to play friendly, cause she does need quite a bit of investment, aka UE40, for her to be effective in the harder difficulty content, since she gains extra healing to increase her low HP recovery. Hence, in my opinion, I would say you should skip her banner, save for other proper units, and cook for a spook in the future if you really want her. Now we move on to the rerun characters, starting with our favorite or least favorite communist leader, Onsen Cherino, who does look quite adorable in her onsen wear, but god, I hate looking at her, purely because of the amount of times she has fucking spooked me. She is an explosive tactical support unit who has S combat power in urban terrains, B in field, and D in indoors. She also uses the standard DPS equipment set. With her 6-cost EX skill, she rides the Purginator number 1 for 50 seconds. The tank's normal attack deals damage to enemies in a round-shaped area, and it has its own basic skill, where it deals damage to one target while dealing even more damage to said target and enemies behind them in a fan-shaped area. Her own basic skill deals damage to enemies in a circular area every 15 seconds. Her enhanced skill boosts her attack, and her sub-skill bumps up the crit damage of all allies. At UE40, she gains extra attack on her enhanced skill plus, and her urban combat power upgrades to SS at UE50. Onsen Cherino also has her own unique item, aka her rubber ducky, which requires relationship rank 15 to unlock, and it gives a bit of attack at tier 1. After using these materials to upgrade it to tier 2, her basic skill is elevated, as not only does it deal extra damage, it also creates a circular zone which continuously deals even more damage every 1 second for 5 seconds. I won't go too much into Onsen Cherino as she currently isn't really used much, but she is a pretty decent raid AoE character, as her tank can deal good AoE damage with his normal attack and basic skill. Not to mention, Onsen Cherino's own basic skill can deal AoE damage and has a short cooldown, and with it becoming stronger and gaining more AoE capabilities once she unlocks Bond Gear Tier 2. Not only that, her crit damage sub-skill is once again very useful since it increases your team's damage output. Thus, you would use Onsen Cherino in content with a lot of raid mobs, as her tank is able to clear them out pretty quickly. However, outside of certain joint firing drills or regular content, she doesn't really see much use, especially in raids, since there aren't really any raid AoE mobbing content so far. Perhaps Raid Armored Grand Assault Cheese when it arrives, or maybe you could use her in raids for her crit damage sub-skill. But there are honestly a number of other units who also have the crit damage sub-skill who are also way better, so you don't really need to use her. Hence, I would highly recommend skipping her and pulling for either one of the other 3 students or saving for future units instead. Or you could pull for her if you really like her. Though I would still advise against it, cause she'll probably spook you just like how she always appears in my pulls. The last special hot spring student on today's menu is Onsen Nodoka, one of Sensei's stalkers and biggest fans, and she is honestly really cute, and it's a fucking shame that I still don't have her. She is a special explosive healer who has the same terrain moods as Onsen Shigure, which is kinda cute and wholesome considering that they are best friends. However, a little unlike Shigure, she employs the standard healer equipment set. Onsen Nodoka's 4-cost EX skill summons her to a designated location, where she tosses a snack as healing to an ally with the lowest HP in a circular area every 3 seconds for 32 seconds. And each snack, which consists of hot spring manju, corn stick, and milk, varies in the amount of healing. Every 25 seconds, her basic skill increases the recovery boost of the ally with the least HP for 20 seconds, with her enhanced skill upping her healing and her sub-skill improving all allies' attack. With her enhanced skill plus at UE40, her healing is additionally boosted, and at UE50, her indoor combat mood is converted from S to SS. Onsen Nodoka has definitely gotten a glow up from her regular version, as she is now a pretty strong and comfy healer. This is because with her EX, she can provide consistent heals by constantly swapping targets to heal the student that needs it the most, or continuously heal a single student so long as they have the lowest health even after healing. Thus, with one use of her EX, she is able to heal your units around 9 to 10 times throughout its duration, topping up their health and preventing them from dying. She also has the added bonus of being invulnerable when her EX is activated. meaning that she doesn't run the risk of dying, and you won't have to worry about losing her heals. Moreover, these heals are actually pretty potent. Though the type of snacks she throws is RNG, it is compensated by the snack's good multipliers. And the fact that she's constantly tossing them for those 30 odd seconds, that the RNG doesn't really matter cause your students are still receiving heals. Plus, her restorative abilities are made even more powerful with her enhanced skill, and especially her enhanced skill plus at UA40, since they boost her healing stat. Not to mention, her basic skill granting a recovery boost buff to the ally with the lowest HP is extremely useful as well, since it lets that particular student receive additional healing, increasing their survivability. As a healer, Onsen Nodoka can be used in a lot of content, especially like in high difficulty raids, where she can be important in keeping your students alive. Firstly, she sees quite a lot of use in Hieronymus, where her main role is to literally heal the green relic constantly, where you would intentionally place her next to it, out of range of your other students, so that she can focus on continuously healing it even when it has the recovery boost down debuff, until her EX runs out, then rinse and repeat. Once the relic is gone, aka you fully heal it 5 times, then Onsen Nodoka's role switches to healing your students. Other than Hiero, Onsen Nodoka can also be used in raids like Kaiten, Bina, Wakamo Hovercraft, where similar to Hiero, you would use her EX to focus on healing the turrets, and Kurokage, since her heals can help recover your students from his intimidation and counter his various AoE attacks. Lastly, while she used to be a meta healer in PvP, she sadly doesn't see much utility there anymore, with the introduction of other more meta PvP special units like Iroha, Swimsuit Shiroko, Nagisa, and Swimsuit Ayane, though there are still people who do have her in their PvP team. Overall, Onsen Nodoka is another great healer, as she has an interesting but extremely useful healing gimmick with her EX skill. And you could pull for her if A, she is your waifu, and B, you need a good comfy healer who can ensure your team's survivability in a bunch of content. If you do decide to pull for her, while you could get her to UE40 since the additional healing stat is great for a healer, I feel that it is only really required for PvP and Hieronymus, specifically Torment difficulty, as the extra healing will make recovering the urn more efficient. However, even then, I wouldn't personally recommend investing too much into her, cause for one, like I said, she's not really used much in PvP anymore. And two, while it will greatly help in your Hiero runs, you can honestly use other healers instead, even in your Torment teams. And with the introduction of Dress Hina, who will obliterate Hiero on Torment in one fucking team, her usage in Hiero has definitely decreased. Instead, in my opinion, you should probably just go for 3-star or maybe at most 5-star UE30, since 3-star Onsen Nodoka is typically enough for Wakamo Hovercraft and the like. Nevertheless, in my opinion, you should probably skip this banner and save for the collab units or for other future meta students, since there are now other healers that can replace her, even in the content that she is good in. Finally, we have Onsen Chinatsu, who is the only striker unit among the 4 banners and is the other onsen unit that keeps fucking spooking me. But I can't stay mad at her cause she has gone from cute to smoking hot in her yukata, especially with this spicy L2D where Sensei takes a bath with her. No one tell Hina, alright? She is a mystic support striker with light armor who has slightly similar terrain moods as Onsen Shigure and Nodoka, but instead she has D combat power in urban terrains and B combat power in field, though similarly she has S combat power in indoor terrains. She uses this set of equipment with the badge and amulet being important as it helps with her survivability since it gives her extra health, crit res and crit damage res stats. Her cheap 2-cost EX skill allows her to increase the attack speed of one ally excluding herself for 30 seconds. And her basic skill once again increases the attack speed of an ally except herself for 20 seconds every 25 seconds. Her enhanced skill improves her max HP, and with her sub-skill, every time Onsen Chinatsu uses her EX, she gains a barrier whose HP is based off a percentage of her healing stat, and it lasts for 30 seconds. Her enhanced skill plus at UE40 further provides her with additional HP, and at UE50, her indoor combat power is improved to SS. As you can already tell, Onsen Chinatsu is primarily an attack speed buffer, and she is an amazingly powerful one at that. This is because her EX is able to increase your unit's attack speed by a whopping 60% at max level, and even at level 1, it's already at 30%. Not to mention, this buff lasts for 30 whole seconds, and it is extremely cheap at 2 cores, meaning you can easily cycle through her EX while constantly ensuring your DPS unit has the buff. Other than her EX, Chinatsu's basic skill can also increase one of your students' attack speed by a decent amount, and it can stack with her EX skill's attack speed buff since it comes from 2 different sources. Though her basic will usually target the ally closest to her, so you need to pay attention to her positioning so that she buffs the correct student. All this make Onsen Chinatsu an essential support to pair alongside auto-attacking or AA units like regular Izuna, Sakurako, Pina, Maki, or Swimsuit Izuna. For example, regular Izuna's damage comes from her basic skill. However, it activates every 6 normal attacks. Thus, by using Onsen Chinatsu's EX and basic skill to buff her attack speed, Izuna can reach that threshold quicker. As she launches her normal attacks very rapidly, she can borderline spam the shit out of her basic skill, letting her delete the enemy's health. Finally, Onsen Chinatsu can get pretty tanky, thanks to her Enhanced Skill and Enhanced Skill Plus at UE40, both of which grant her additional HP, as well as a sub-skill which supplies her with a shield whenever she uses her EX. Thus, she will almost always have this shield since you'll be constantly cycling through her EX. All these make Onsen Chinatsu a great unit to use in content that require AA units, such as specific joint firing drills and the Wakamo Hovercraft Raid Phase 2, especially on Insane or Torment difficulty, where you need fast attacking units to ensure that the hovercraft will always have the incoming damage increase debuff. And Onsen Chinatsu's role in this raid is to basically increase your DPS students' attack speed to maintain this debuff. She also sees a lot of use in Shirokuro, in which she is used alongside regular Izuna for the strategy that I explained earlier. Izuna will be the main hypercarry for this strat, so you buff her attack speed with Chinatsu's EX and basic skill, Izuna basic skill go brr, and it can delete Shirokuro pretty quickly. Though this strat is mostly used in insane difficulty, but you can still make it work in one of your Torment teams. Finally, she has some usage in Bina, specifically on Torment difficulty, where she can buff units like Maki to attack quicker and deal more damage to that large snake. All in all, while Onsen Chinatsu is a strong attack speed buffer, she is a pretty niche supporter, and she isn't the type of support who is useful in every team like Ako and Himari, or even someone like Kotama and Camp Hare. But for the AA teams that she does fit into, she is an extremely vital unit. Hence, in my humble opinion, you should probably skip her, since she isn't that important right now, as there are more significant units on the way throughout the next few weeks. And you can use other units for Shirokuro and Wakamo Hovercraft instead. However, if she is your waifu, and you want this really spicy L2D, or you want to really challenge for the higher ranks in both the Wakamo Hovercraft and Shirokuro raids, then you may pull for Onsen Chinatsu. Keep in mind that if you do intend to pull for her, 3 stars is more than enough. Even though she does get tankier at UE40, it's definitely not needed. Or you could be lucky like me and get 3 copies in 40 pulls when she first came out, and then proceed to get spooked by her nearly every time ever since. And that's all for this week's review. All in all, while Onsen Shigure and Onsen Nodoka are good healers, I would recommend skipping their banners, cause you can replace them with other units for the meantime, as there are a bunch of really important students on the way, all of whom you should probably save for. The same can be said for Onsen Chinatsu, who should be a low priority student in terms of gameplay, even though she is a really good attack speed buffer. As for Onsen Cherino, yeah, it's an easy skip, as there are many other raid AoE units who can easily take her place. But if you still wanna pull for them, go ahead. I ain't stopping ya, cause your park scenes, your rules. Anyways, that's all from me. Let me know who you're pulling for if you are, and I'll see y'all in the next one.